All right, test, test. Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yes.
Test, test. Hey, Disco, can you hear me?
Hi, testing. Yes, I can
All
hear you
right,
perfectly.
awesome, awesome. I had to rejoin.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Should we give it another couple minutes so we can allow the other community to join before we start?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's give it let's say 3 more minutes or so.
So our other community, Elysium, they're finishing up their AMA. There's about 170 people. They should be joining in a second. They might be late a little bit.
Sure. Should we still wait for them, or shall we just go ahead?
I think we're waiting for the Pace account too. So, and
Yeah,
does
that's
Lily
fine.
want to hop on too, or let's wait for the Pace account first.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hey guys, it's Ariel from Pace. Just letting you know we're actually having a little bit of trouble logging in from the Pace account. So Lily's getting our social media team on it, but we probably should not wait for that.
Okay, noted.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Where are you currently at now, Ariel?
I'm in New York at the Pace Verso office. Wish you guys could see the beautiful art around me, and I have a really nice view as well. So sorry I can't show you.
No worries. So I was in London a couple weeks back, and I went to Pace Gallery in London.
Oh,
It was
nice.
you have some amazing stuff in there.
Did you see the Sam Gilliam paintings show?
Yes.
Cool.
And I
He's
just found out
amazing.
there's another cool gallery across the street from Pace 2, Unit London. They have some
Unit, yeah,
awesome
yeah,
pieces too.
yeah. Yes, they are. They're doing a lot in this Web3 space. I met with them also when I was there.
I'm gonna do a little Mandarin introduction to our Chinese community and just get them warmed up. 大家晚安，这边是Pace Gallery 的 Ariel，然后今天呢，主力的语言我们会是用英文。那有任何问题的话，我们会在我们的 Discord 里面去做一些及时的补充跟翻译，然后也希望我们的 Core Team 跟 Mod 针对一些重点的时候，可以稍微协助翻译一下。那原因是我们之前发现这种中文、英文、中文、英文中间有这个translation 的，通常都会很卡，然后大家会听得不是很顺畅，所以这一次我们就用英文来欢迎我们国外的朋友。David, should we get started?
Yeah, sounds good. Looks like people are community from Elysium are all kind of joining in now. So why don't we just start off then? All right, GM and GN everyone. It is our pleasure to be live on Twitter Space today with everyone. So before we jump right into the AMA, we're just gonna do a quick intro to start us off. Given the current market conditions, we have seen the ups and downs of many NFT projects. But the digital art market is actually relatively stable. Even now, as we're speaking, there have been multiple artistic projects that are being worked on and launched. So today, we will not discuss the rise and fall of the price floors, but rather share the experience of digital and generative art. So during this AMA, we will take a look at generative art NFTs from the perspectives of both collectors and galleries. The perspective of collectors and enthusiasts will be represented by Zombie Club, while the gallery side will obviously be represented by Pace. So I now proudly present to you guys the two speakers that are already online with us, Disco, the founder of Zombie Club, and Ariel, the head of Pace Verso. And just to give
Hi.
everyone, hi guys, but just to give you a little bit more information for the two of them, they're both seasoned art collectors who have transitioned from traditional art collections to now digital art and NFTs. So before I pass the mic over to Ariel and Disco, we would just like to give a special shout out to Pace Gallery, as they are not only the first international gallery to enter the field of digital art and NFT, but also the first official partner of Art Blocks, which both are tremendous milestones under Pace. And now I will pass the mic over to Ariel first, and then Disco for a quick self intro and just to say hello. And then we will kick off the AMA with the first topic on today's agenda. Ariel, please go ahead.
Cool. Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Lily from our team for working with you guys to set this up. So I'm Ariel. I'm the head of PaceVerso. I have been building PaceVerso for about 2 years, although we only named it PaceVerso 1 year ago. So we're actually just about to hit our first birthday, which we're very excited about. I was originally brought into Pace Gallery to lead business development for the gallery, and one of the earliest topics that came up within business development was Web3. And our CEO said to me, you know, our artists are coming to us and asking if we can support them doing NFT projects. And he said to me, the way Pace has been successful for 60 years is that when our artists, who we think are the best artists in the world, show up and say they want to do something, we figure out how to support them. And so this space was no different. We said, okay, what's it going to take to support them? I figured out pretty quickly that pushing our artists to one of the existing quote unquote platforms was not going to be the answer for us, because our artists don't want to do art that fits in a platform per se, that's sort of cookie cutter and templated. They want to do totally unique, totally custom projects. So that is really what Verso today does. We produce projects that are custom end to end. The art, of course, the smart contracts, where and how they're sold, the team that's working on them, the way we market them, the community we bring in, it's all custom, just like a Pace Gallery exhibition would be. So examples of some of the projects we've done, we're working with Jeff Koons on a major project. We've done several projects with art blocks now, more to come. We just did this project, which is how we met Zombie Club, called Life in Our Minds, which is this amazing long-term generative project where your NFT continues to evolve in your wallet based on what else you hold. And that's just a little sample. We can probably get into more details on our projects, but that's PaceVerso, and that's me. Thanks for having me.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Ariel. That was a great intro about yourself. That's awesome. Now, Disco, please go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Disco.eth, and I've been in crypto since 2017. Initially was just my friends suggesting me to get some Ethereum, but then since 2018, around 19, I started to look into NFTs, and it's amusing for us to find out that you can trade transparently, and you can see everything on blockchain. It's very different from the previous experience of collecting collectibles, arts, wine, or watches. And then it just feels much better for for example, if you were collecting physical art, the time there's many channels you can sell it, but then usually through our broker galleries or auction houses, right? The logistics and the information, the sort of information, the price gap in between, and also when you're trying to auction a piece off, you have to have it insured, have it checked, have it shipped. And then when the auction is finally done, the settlement is usually another 6 to 8 weeks with 25% of broker fee. So that's the annoying part of physical art collecting for us. But then when collecting scene is happening on the blockchain, it feels a whole lot different. It just feels like you can trust the data you see. So that's how me and my crew from Zombie Club sort of get into the NFT space. And yeah, so that's me. And we're the first Asian group that brought NFTs into auction houses in Christie's Hong Kong back in 2021, and we took Mebeats, BOIC, CryptoPunks, and along with some George Condo Rolexes into a sale, and then it was very successful. And by then, there was a lot of friends and people just asking, "Hey, what's an NFT?" And all of our founders, we didn't have time to reply all these messages, so we thought, why not have a community that we can translate the crypto Twitter information and just really educate the Asian crowd on NFT collecting. So that's us.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Disco. All right. After the quick intro from both of you, why not jump into the topic number one for our AMA today, which is about the questions that are divergent from the journey from traditional to digital art. So the number one question is going to be going to Pace or Ariel. So I'm just going to ask this question directly. So, as a leading large scale gallery in the Web3 market, why did Pace really make this decision in the first place? And did you guys encounter any challenges in the process of adoption or implementation?
Yeah, great question. So this is a little bit what I was getting at in my intro. Why did we come into the space? We came into the space because our artists led us here, and where our artists go, we follow. So just to give you a taste of the artists we work with, since I keep talking about, our reverence for them, we work with Jeff Koons, we work with Rothko, Calder, we work with major Chinese artists, Zhang Wan, and many, many more. So really, the artists who are the innovators of our time and the most important artists in the world. So when they come to us and say they're interested in exploring, we figure out how to support them. And I do think it's really interesting that I have to imagine our peer galleries, their artists are coming to them as well with this interest. And obviously their answer is different because they have not gotten into this space. So I don't know what's going on with that. But for us, it's very clear we have to be here. So then your second question was, have there been any challenges in building? Yes, no shortage of challenges. I mean, we're a brick and mortar gallery that for 60 years has sold paintings, sculptures, physical objects that hang on the wall, and if someone wants to buy one, you invoice them, they pay you, you ship it. We're really good at that. The space is technically more complex, and we've been building, like I said, we approach each project as sort of a blank page in terms of how we're going to produce it to achieve the artist's vision. So every single time we're kind of starting over with what's the right way to sell this, what are the sale mechanics, how will people pay, where will the buyer base come from? So that's challenging. But the alternative, forcing our artists into a template, into a platform, is not exciting and would not be in line with what Pace Gallery does in the physical world. So our goal, even if it means we have to work really, really hard behind the scenes, is to make PaceVerso and our projects feel like a seamless extension of the gallery, so that you come into our headquarters in New York or our space in London or Hong Kong or wherever, you see this beautiful, elegant exhibition in a lovely space that really highlights the art. Then you go online and you look at a PaceVerso project and it feels like you're in the same space. You didn't jump from this really high-end physical space to something that feels different online. So we are working very hard, and it's worth it to us.
That's awesome. That's, I think that is really the innovative part of, a brick and mortar gallery jumping right into digital art, and that's fantastic. And I'm just really curious, like during the process of like this building, right, building process, right? Were there any like, I don't know, like friction or contradiction between like the vision of the gallery and the artists, or even the collectors that you closely work with? Was there anything that was just like people just really didn't want to get into NFTs?
You cut out for a second, but was the question, were there any collectors who didn't want to get into NFTs?
Oh, just not just only the collectors, but artists,
Oh.
or even just were there any friction or type of like contradictions that you see from the space, transitioning from traditional to more of a digital collection?
Well, yes and no. I'm sure there are artists and collectors in our world who don't want to do this, but those aren't the people we're going to first. We're responding to inbound interest from our artists. So we're talking to the artists who we know want to do this because they came forward and put their hands up. Similar with collectors, we're not forcing every collector into a conversation about this. We're putting information about building a digital collection out into the world and letting collectors come forward when they're interested in engaging with that. So I am talking to the artists and collectors who are already interested and probably not hearing directly from the ones who aren't. I really think the ones who aren't, you just opt out. And my hypothesis is they will end up opting in at some point in the not too distant future. But you just opt out until you change your mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so it's going to take a process, right? It's going to take time in the process.
Right. It's
All
totally going to be a process, and we're not. Success to us is not like, is every Pace client buying an NFT this year? That is not how we would define success. It's, are we producing projects that we are proud of and that our artists are proud of? Are we meeting new collectors and a new community that comes from the NFT space? That's a huge goal. And then are we starting the process of bringing some of our traditional clients over into this space? And check on all three of those things so far.
That's very good to hear. All right, awesome. Now, the next question is going to be going to Disco. I know you already talked about kind of the opportunity that you personally got into digital art and NFT. Now, we want to jump back to your experience back in collecting the traditional art pieces. Was that helpful in any way, or shape, or form for making the transition into collecting digital art and NFTs?
Um, I think yeah, for sure. Any kind, like, for from a perspective of a collector, any kind of a collectible or art, it's down to the communities. Do you have a crowd of people who appreciate the concept of the art? Do they talk about it, proudly display it at their homes or in offices? And it's the original experience that I have is to, you have to really talk to the artists about their concept. You have to talk about the gallery, then see how each region, if they are globally accepted, and uh, uh, yeah, I think some of the experiences from before definitely um, uh, uh, hel- helps. And then I think making the decision of transition into collecting NFT is a no-brainer, because for the current age right now, we're very much live in screens. Like I'm on the phone like 5 hours a day. I'm on the screen. You work at home, you're in the screens, and it feels natural for the gaming crowd and general crowd to collect assets in the screens. So that's my sort of original concept. And when I believe in my personal opinion, I just go straight into, I believe, collecting NFTs, and I believe digital assets going to happen.
Awesome. Well, just to expand that a little bit further, um, could you share a little bit about your thoughts on why digital art and NFT is one of the best investments for the future? And also, like, if people want to get into whether or not it's NFT or traditional art, how would you help them to get started?
Okay. I do think digital collectibles or digital art is, the timing right now, it would be the best, because if you're talking about, let's go really down to our earth, okay? Collecting or physical pieces from galleries are usually gonna cost way more than you need to spend in collecting NFTs. And if you're buying the cheaper, okay, it's kind of disrespectful. The cheaper pieces from local galleries, they might not have the ability to do exhibitions or promotions for the artists. And but with NFTs, it's global. It's on OpenSea. People appreciate it. You have a community that people gather in the Discord, discuss about why and why they like about it, and how they display it, either print it out to physical, either use them as their screensaver, use them as their phone desktop. You have that sort of vibe and direct interaction with not just the community and the artists as well. So NFT sort of started 2015 to 17-ish with some several experimental projects, right? And then the real good ones, decent ones, I think starts at the early ones are around around that time. So we've only been there for what 6 to 7 years. So right now, collecting on-chain digital assets, I consider it is still early. So, for example, you go to all blocks, right? In the secondary market, you could pick up something like a curated project for 1 ETH, 1.5 ETH, which is like 2,000, 3,000 US dollars. And in the real physical world, you're not gonna get much with that type of money. So I think with time goes, with the whole world's trend of metaverse is coming, with more people being born in the world, we just reached what 80 billion people, right? And a lot of people, for them, buying physical art and going through the hassle of auction houses or shipping, it's just much easier with digital collectibles, and you don't have to deal with counterfeits. You don't have to deal with very long transaction process. So I believe in getting into collecting digital collectible or art would be a very good investment if you play the long-term game.
Right, those are very valid points, and I very much agree with you on that front. Now, this next question is going to be going to Ariel. So, among some of the artists that PaceVerso has been working during this time, many artists uh, who were originally active in traditional art scenes to begin create NFT as a medium, right? So we've seen collections like Petronational, QWRTY, Team Lab, and etc. Aside from motivating, persuading them, and maybe some of them are more active and are forefront with this type of technology. Uh, what are the type of resources and help can Pace provide to these artists?
Sure. I mean, I would still say in most cases for Pace Verso projects, it's the artist coming to us saying they want to do something. So it's not that we're going out and pitching the artists.
Wow.
So for sure, Petronational, Team Lab, those artists, have long histories of working in digital mediums and want to do projects. And in both of those cases, Pace Verso provided some supplementary technical resources, limited, but some.
Mm-hmm.
We helped promote the project to the art world, and we helped contextualize the project within those artists' practices. And we brought some Pace collectors and clients to
Right.
the sales. For something like, we've done 2 projects on Art Blocks this fall, both really successful, Quarty and Contractions, which were both
Right.
by physical artists. Tara Donovan, who did Quarty as a sculptor, Loie Hollowell, who did Contractions as a painter. Neither really has ever done anything in the digital medium before. So in those cases, I did go to them and say, hey, I think your practice lends itself to generative art. Would you be interested in exploring this? And then they explored with me, and what we did was we ended up bringing in an engineer who calls himself a creative coder, and he worked with them to translate their vision into an algorithm, and then bring that algorithm to Art Blocks. And what I can say in both of those cases is these 2 women, there was a lot of chatter about this on the Art Blocks Discord. Like, did this coder just make these projects for them? Like 100% he wrote the code, but 100% he did not make the art. Like, these women sat with him shoulder to shoulder for months, defining the algorithm and then refining. It is 100% their visions, and they are the artists. It's like, if you think about painters today, like the best painters, many of them do not do their own paintings. They work with studio assistants to do painting. And in 2022, we don't think it's like a important merit for the artist themselves to be like an amazing representational painter. We think the artist should be bringing the idea and the concept, and others can help with execution. So that's true in painting, it's true in sculpture. I don't see why it shouldn't be true in this space too, that you work with a creative coder and they help you write the algorithm, but you're the artist with the vision.
That is absolutely insane. And share like what was your experience, using this, coding as a new medium of creation? Because that's very exciting, I think, like, for both of them.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is. That's where I see so much potential in this space is I see a lot of potential in generative art, and I see this huge world of putting the generative art tools in the toolkit of amazing painters, sculptors, photographers. I think what we saw with the two projects we did, and contractions, I'll even say, especially Loie Hollowell is our like Pace's sort of top painter. She's just an amazing artist. And what we saw is that the fact that she's an amazing artist translates into this new medium seamlessly. And we saw the community respond to that. That project really sort of shot up on the secondary market once people understood who she is and how this project reflects her practice. And she now says she's a painter. She does paintings,
Took off.
drawings,
Yeah,
and
sure.
NFT projects, generative art projects. Yeah.
David, you're cutting off.
We're speaking about these collections, what do now?
Hi, David. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good now. You were cut off by a little bit.
All right, no worries. So just wanted to let everyone know who are live with us right now, as we're speaking about all these collections, you can actually access to the pinned post that we have up in the Twitter space. You can view these collections in the zombie plot that we have prepared, kind of in like a virtual exhibition style. So as we're going through these pieces, you can take a look at it while you're listening to us. Just wanted to throw that out there. All right. So this next question is still going to be Ariel for now. Just to get your personal thought on what perspective would you introduce like digital and generative art NFT to the traditional art collectors, or I'm not sure if you have done so already before, but how would you share your thoughts and perspective to them?
Sorry, can you say that one more time? Ask the question once more.
Yeah, no worries. Essentially, from what kind of perspective would you introduce a digital and generative art NFT to a traditional art collector?
Yeah, I think that is probably the upcoming challenge. And I think it's like an attainable challenge, but we kind of all have to work together, all being like Pace and Art Blocks and Bright Moments and artists and you guys, to help a broader audience understand what those of us who are already on the inside understand, which is the power of generative art and what it can do in the space. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of storytelling work we have to do there, and we have to, I'm a believer in just the power of this tool and how far it can go once you put it in amazing artists' hands. We do have to help collectors understand that, and it's not totally simple. It's not like just looking at a painting. You have to understand what goes into an algorithm. You have to understand the range of outputs and the history. So it takes a little bit of work, but so I don't think it happens overnight. I don't think like the floodgates are going to open and collectors will rush in, but I think we will do that work and get there.
I'm going to throw in my 2 cents right here. So I think the floodgate will be open very soon. It's just a personal opinion based on research. I'm not sure if you guys remember a while ago, Reddit just gave each of their members account, which a digital collectible wallet, which Instagram and Meta is doing the same, and we're waiting on Twitter and Gmail to do the same. So when Reddit did it, they instantly onboarded 2 million users overnight on NFTs. So I think that's gonna come very soon. And then the news with Apple being able to purchase NFT through Apple Pay, and you could connect your wallet easily and display it into Meta. It's just going to be very easy for the more of a traditional web user to get into NFTs. That's just some research, and you guys can research on these companies and what they are doing. I think it will be really helpful on understand the sort of the time frame, when the floodgate will be open.
Super interesting. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, in addition, the I mean, personally, I just think these output are actually really, really intriguing and good looking in my opinion. So I think it also helps that they're very good. All right. Um, moving on to the next question. I think it's going to be going to Verso. So for collective, what do you think about the impact of a gallery like Pace into the total generative NFT art? As they're here already, what kind of impact has it done to the community and to the NFT scene?
Is that to
Sorry.
me?
No,
Well, I'll
that
take
was
it, and then Disco, you can take it after.
sure.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just say briefly. I mean, I think the community is hungry for more players like Pace to be in this space because of the validation we bring to projects and artists that we support. Because we have this long history, we have a history of our projects ending up in museums and in major collections, and contextualizing the projects through catalogs and essays and curators and things that ultimately bring a lot of value, long-term value to projects. So you feel like if you're buying something, it's not just going to disappear tomorrow, or the energy behind it isn't going to disappear. There's like long-term energy behind it. So I think Pace has started that work, but I think we need more peers in the space doing it too.
So just to add a little bit of opinion to that question, I think from a collector's point of view, Pace Gallery entering the field is a affirmation. It's a confirmation of digital art and digital collectible is solid. And from Ariel, from what Ariel just told us, it's the artist that wants to create using NFT is a medium. So that's almost saying like this new category, new type of collectible, new type of art is there. And from a collector's point of view, Pace Gallery is not like a random Web3 Anon project just popped out. They've been there for 60 years, innovating at the front line. So I'm really excited to see what's coming next.
Yeah,
Awesome.
me too.
Cool. Now, let's move on to topic number 2. Can you guys hear me clearly? I'm not cutting off right now, right?
You're good.
All right, perfect. Now, let's talk about a little bit more from the future standpoint of digital and generative art. This question will be going to Ariel. Um, what are some of the short, mid to long-term plans in game for Ariel to invest more into the future of NFTs?
Yeah, well, we're going to continue to produce projects. We have a really exciting 2023 planned with so many projects by great artists. We're also doing our first project with an artist outside the PACE program and native to the space, and that's with Tyler Hobbs. So I hope everybody saw that Tyler's QQL project is going to have an exhibition at PACE in April. So that's really exciting to me to have our first artist outside PACE be Tyler. The way QQL will be represented at the gallery is through paintings he's making based on QQL. So really excited to bring those like physical iterations of these works into our space. So we're just gonna keep working. We're gonna keep rolling up our sleeves, working, bringing in more artists, bringing in more collectors, producing high quality projects, integrating all of this into the gallery so that it feels just like a seamless extension of what we do, and collectors perceive it that way. Yeah, we're just going to stay very busy.
It's good to hear. The next question is going to Disco. So just to get your 2 cents on, your observation on the current NFT market, and can you like share more thoughts and vision for the future outlook as well?
Okay. So we're in a bear market, and I love bear markets. There's currently, I think, the NFT crowd is much more educated. They've matured during the crazy bull run of last year, and now it's harder to do a rug pull or a free mint, and people are not just coming in to arbitrage on the growth of the floor price. So you really have time to appreciate digital art. You really have time to research what are the solid blue chip artworks or projects in the space. And I think during the bear market, the people who's coming in to collect are the real collectors, and are the real early collectors who is uh, going to appreciate it are much more than the floor price, than focusing on the floor price it is. So we're seeing museums, galleries get into the space, and that's definitely a good sign. So during the bear markets, there are some overhyped project or some solid project in a ridiculous price. You have, if you really love the artwork, you have a shot. You have a much better chance to get these NFTs in your bags.
Awesome. Now, Ariel, maybe from your perspective, could you expand on, you've touched on this numerous times, right? Like a lot of time, artists kind of come to you in events to find collaboration and trying to use NFT as a medium of artwork. With these success stories and when you see these opportunities arise, what else do you see is possible that can be derived from this space?
I mean, I think what we were talking about earlier, and I'm really happy to hear Disco feels similarly about generative art as a particular new tool that's emerged from the space that many artists, not just natively digital artists, but also natively physical artists, can use is one of the things that I think when we look back, we'll see in terms of art and how art evolved through Web3, or how Web3 helped art evolve. I think that is what we'll see, that it put this new tool in the hands of artists.
I think, sorry, I just think, talking about NFTs, like Life in Our Minds,
Yeah,
this NFT, there's a specific word for it. It's a dynamic NFTs. So
right.
which means artists are a lot. I talked to some artists and they're excited about this new type of medium that they can use to create with a smart contract, and the limits are endless to them, and also it's hard to in the traditional space to gather a crowd of community that appreciate your art, and you have them in a Discord talking about it and getting direct feedback from the community. So I do think it's a whole new area for a lot of artists to come on board and try out.
Totally. That's another tool to add into artist toolkits through this space. Agree.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I feel like NFT itself really opens up this like new gateway that allows more creators to come into the space and using this technology to really, expand their uh, creativity or imagination. It's a complete new canvas for creators and artists. All right.
Yeah, and it allows, we've had, like Loie Hollowell said, she was able to explore more in this space than she could have in a lifetime of making paintings, because digital tools allow you to do that. You can move faster and try more variations very quickly. So yeah, agree with what you're saying, David.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Um, Now, this is a question
By the
for
way,
this.
I just want to cut in a little bit. Loie Hollowell, the real physical art, it's amazing. It's not 2D. You can see
Yeah.
it from different angles when you walk past through it, and with the current drop on uh Pace, I do think the current images sort of resembles the colors, the variation of the shapes, but then it also has the potential to sort of derive the artworks into 3Ds. So a lot of if you have a virtual space, if you have a VR, it would look even more amazing. Like we
Yeah.
hang it in our space and it just looks pretty good. And with a little bit of manufacture into 3D, I think it would be bomb.
Totally. I mean, one of my favorite things about how that project came together is that even though the NFTs are flat, the way they did the shadow work, which is really hard in that space is it does still, as you're saying, you can see the three-dimensionality of it. And it has this like optical illusion almost effect that, yeah, I think was really successful.
Yeah, like if you're looking at the shadows and the depth, like generative shadow and generative depth, like how amazing is that? Like it's like each work has its individual unique appearances on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, David.
Oh,
I'll pass the mic back to you.
no worries. I mean, I think having these like candid conversation and showing appreciation of the arts is why we're here today, right? Having these conversation. I think that's the fun part. So, feel free to cut me off anytime. It's not a problem at all. Um, all right, my question was to both Disco and Ariel, is that I think we all agreed that the gap between traditional and NFT art collections, from a collector's perspective, I think there's still a long way to go. It's going to take some time and process. What do you think what we can do right now to help bridge that gap? And either one of you can go first. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I loved Disco's more bullish vision than mine, so I want to hear from him first, and I'll add on.
Okay. Um, Bridge the gap between traditional and NFT art. Like, I think the first thing I can think of is the way we could. It's actually the logistic of art. For last year, I think end of last year in NYC New York, the hottest topic was digital goods. So literally, first off, like a lot of auction houses or galleries can do is um, sort of a centralized storage of the real art, but then having the transaction of the ownership on NFTs. I think that would be very beneficial for stuff like wine or vintage cars in a RM Sotheby's, and maybe some large paintings that is borrowed to galleries for exhibitions. If you can prove your digital ownership of a certain physical good, and literally you don't have to go through all the logistic and traffics of buying a wine, original woodcase wine, ship it, have it. You have to have it insured. You have to have it shipped in your storage. You have to pay for the storage, and then when you have to sell it, you have to go to your negotiation or auction house to sell it again. It's just such a hassle to trade some of these premium collectibles. So NFTs in digital good will definitely help that. I think that will bring the first sort of wave of collectors on board. And then the other thing might be um, uh, I do believe that the most of the big Web2 companies like eBay, PayPal, Google, Twitter, Reddit, they are all giving their account holders wallets. So these are the Web2 companies that's significant enough with enough users. They see the importance of having a wallet, and so they will onboard a lot of the users. So I with time, I think the crowd will naturally appreciate. Hey, I can hold some assets directly from my Gmail account, and when the time I want to sell it or rent it out, I could use a simple smart contract to do so. So that's the second. I think it's going to happen naturally. There's nothing much we can do, but the bigger companies can do it. And another point of view is the coming of smart glasses and VR world. So I think around 2024, 2025, you're gonna get Google glasses, Apple glasses, and real glasses, Xiaomi AR glasses. It's essentially another wearable on us that allows us to easily control all our IoT stuff like your fridge, your light, your screens. It's a extra remote control that gives you much more information instantly, right? So collecting digital stuffs inside the glasses or inside the screen, I think it will, with time, it will become natural too. So that's my sort of point of view.
I love it. I mean, I wouldn't have specifically mentioned some of those things, but I think they're all great ideas. But I think in short, what you're saying that I would say too is there needs to be this multi-pronged approach to bringing people in. And what we're doing at Pace and the sort of like part of the ecosystem we occupy and where we have leverage, I think, is the slowest hand holding approach to bring in the biggest potential collectors. So we have 1 million Instagram followers. So for sure, we're reaching those people and trying to get them excited, showing them these projects, showing that we believe in this space and these artists. But probably where we're going to have a bigger impact is in getting major collectors, curators, museums who themselves have huge reaches onboarded into this space. And the way we do that is we work with people to stand up wallets. We do long calls with people to talk to them about making an acquisition and how to think about building a collection in this space. And we, fundamentally just continue to bring in artists who are already attractive to that type of collector. So I think Pace's responsibility in this ecosystem, and I do think like it's such a new ecosystem, we all have a responsibility. Ours is to get that upper end of collectors into the space and comfortable.
Right, and I think it's awesome that Disco brought up the point of using VR and AR glasses, right? I think one of the point it would be how we're seeing the exhibition, the experience that we see in physical exhibition now, such as like Team Lab and what we see from Van Gogh, like more and more interactive type of experience will be apparent in exhibitions and galleries, and I think that could potentially help bridge the gap as well. And from the virtual perspective, having that virtual gallery such as Pace, I don't have to go to London in order to see what's inside of Pace London. I can do that virtually to take a look at what is inside, and those could be ideas and ways to really help kind of slowly bridge the gap in between traditional art and digital art.
Yeah. We do a lot of that at Pace. We we work with Team Lab, who I think we mentioned earlier on this call, who kind of have pre-Van Gogh. Team Lab was doing immersive installations like they now do, and we find Team Lab's version more interesting because it's original art that was natively made to be shown that way. But yes, what Van Gogh's doing is definitely, and others are getting more people comfortable with experiencing art that way, and I think that's all important right now.
Yeah, and I think from a platform, as in screens or digital world or metaverse's point of view, like if I'm a user in metaverse in VR, like I don't want a Roscoe scanned and put into my virtual gallery or house or office, right? Like I want something native, digitally native artworks to be live in there. Like I would hang a Fidenza or any of the Tyler Hobbs work into my virtual office rather than having a scanned copy of a real of a painting inside. It just makes much more sense.
100%, something we've said from the beginning and still true to this day. We will never, ever just scan paintings or whatever and throw them on the blockchain as JPEGs and try to sell them as NFTs. Don't love when people do that. Not something we're interested in. We're definitely thinking about using NFTs as sort of certificates of authenticity for physical works of art, but that's a totally different use case for NFTs, and it's not what you're talking about, which I agree is there's really no place for that in this space.
Awesome. I think these are all really good conversations and discussions. So hopefully, the questions that we have prepared today is interesting to everyone. As we're, closing into our 1 hour AMA, we're out of questions, and right now we can really open up, just to have Disco and Ariel to have any, open discussion. If you guys have any things that you guys like to share, and we can save a little bit of time to see if we want to open up the floor for our audience to ask any questions.
Sure. Ariel, are you familiar with Asia? I know Pace Gallery has a permanent place in Hong Kong and Korea. And do you have any questions on the Asian NFT collection scene?
Wow. I actually have so many questions. And this is an area for Verso we feel like we need to do more research and expand and get better because we just have not really built an Asian collector base. So, Disco, I'm assuming you spend time between Asia and maybe more US and Europe. How would you describe at a high level the differences between the communities in those different places?
So Asia's original crypto scene it's a massive crowd. Especially you have exchanges like Binance, which they have the most users in the world. But the regards to NFTs and art collectings in on blockchain, I do think US is definitely leading the game right now with the most culture, and then Europe is coming up. Europe might have a 3 to 5 month of a information lag, where Asia is sort of 9 month to 12 month behind. So the information itself is essentially started from US. A couple months later, the crowd in the Europe gets it, and then take another half year. You have a lot of these translated material from the West. So I believe that when the culture reaches to Asia, that you will be exposed to much more population, because 80% of the population in the world is in Asia. So
Yeah.
I could see a large market being developed, being educated during this bear run. And during the
Yeah.
bear run, I believe a lot of the galleries, auction houses, artists will drop legit projects, and with a lot more innovations inside. It's just, I think it's just time. It's just time, and it takes education, it takes translation for what the West is leading and doing to convert into the Asian market. And in terms of crypto compliance part in Asia, is Hong Kong, I believe, just opened, and they're going full in on metaverse and Web3. They have a next year is a 12-month grace period for all the Web3 startups. And Japan in August, the Prime Minister also announced the same thing: is Japan can't be left out in the Web3 scene. So they
Yeah.
have funds and banks leading the game and incubating projects. So I believe the collecting scene will shift to Asia in time, but slower. But yeah, it's gonna take more time to mature. Yeah, and generally, the during the bear market, people's education level of crypto security will be higher. It's almost like during 2017, there's like 90% of scam in ICO. During the NFT period, there's maybe 75%. But then I think during the current bear run, bear market, the next run up, we might only have 40% or 30% of weird, not legit stuffs in the market. And at the time, there will also be more compliance into the whole Web3 and NFT scene. So I'm
Yeah.
really bullish.
Cool. I mean, I don't want to keep everybody here, and I have to drop at right on time, but I'd love to continue the conversation with you. I think those are really interesting insights, and we want to get to know that community. We want to take advantage of this bear moment to build community and show people what Pace is about and Pace Verso. So let's keep talking.
All right, thank you, Ariel, for today. And I believe our community learned a lot information on why a major gallery step into the space. And it's glad to have you here.
Oh yeah, thank you, Disco. I learned a lot from you too. So thanks for that.
Thank you so much, Ariel, for your time. We have we're basically out of time today, so well, how about we just wrap up for today, and then we'll take in some of the questions from within our Discord community, and we can try to answer them at a later time.
That would be great. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight with us, and enjoy a good evening.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you all. Have a good
Bye.
night
Bye,
and have a good
guys.
day.